Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala al-ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen, amma ba'd. As you yourselves know, the format and the purpose of this gathering, we get reminded every week that it's more mainly now practicing upon the spiritual journey and to derive lessons from. Also in the process, if anyone has any difficulties or any questions or anything that they would like to share, then also they can share in this regards. So inshallah, this morning, by the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the few of the mashayikh, inshallah, we shall begin one Muraqba, which is very similar to the other ones. In fact, it's the same in one sense. Is that, alhamdulillah, in this month of last month that we learned from Muharram about the sacrifices of Sayyidina Imam Hussein radiallahu anhum, what he has done for the whole ummah. That what we learn is that he showed courage, bravery, standing up for the truth, and sacrifice anything that you believe in. These are some of the qualities, amongst many qualities that we learn from, that we can all and we should all try to implement in our life and as much as possible. Also, another great personality, also we can learn many great qualities from, but one of them is the qualities of being extreme compassion upon creation, and also taught us how to let go of our rights in order to bring communities together, and that is in form of Sayyidina Imam Hassan radiallahu anhu. In these months of Safar, his blessed martyrdom also took place in the latter days, especially 28th, 29th days. So inshallah, with that in mind, we shall do a Muraqba, that inshallah we do the Lataif practices, transfer. Then after the transfer, inshallah, we meet our teacher and Allah Mashayikh, and then eventually we go to Madinah Sharif, give salam, and also visit Jannatul Baqi, where one of this blessed personality is residing at the moment. So one can then, if possible, also then recall at the time when they were actually leading a community at the time in Masjid al-Nawawi, and how a great battle to take place between the two eminent parties and companions of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and how he did a great act of letting go of the reign or the khilafah upon the other companion, just so that to bring the two communities together, and did a sulah or a reconciliation. So it's a great lessons one can learn, that in our lives, daily lives, between our family members, between our friends, between our fellow brothers, that sometimes differences does happen, and fallouts or disagreements does happen. But then how do you actually deal with it? What do we do to actually make the whole situation better? Do we carry on like this, or do we find out ways that we can do in such a way that not only we avoid any kind of situation which is not very pleasing, but also make the whole situation in a positive light and bringing people together? And for this, we always look towards our mashayikh and our companions. And one of the greatest companions, Sayyidina Imam Hassan radiallahu anhu, has shown us practically how you can do so. And that does not mean that he has lost in his status or he has lost a way amongst the Muslim community. In fact, he became more beloved. His status and rank in eyes of people become more awestruck and more, it was glorified that such an act that he did, maybe in the whole history, especially in those times when people used to vie for power and many wars used to take place between nations and empires, that he, for sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, has actually given up so that bringing the communities together, because he saw the person who's actually also asking for it or discussing about this, he's also capable of running it, i.e. in terms of Amir Muawiyah radiallahu anhum. So just because of the bringing communities together, therefore he let go of that. And many other qualities we learned, that he was more compassionate, he had the compassion at the highest peak or the apex of it, how he used to forgive people, and then make people happy rather. Not only forgive them, but make such a situation that they become happy at the end. There's no feeling of sadness or remorseful at the end of it, inshallah. So what we'll do is we'll begin now. So initially just do the preparation, the adhkars, the protection adhkars, then the preparation adhkars, then the lataif, starting with the preparation latifa, and then all the 7 ones, and then slowly our body disappears, our spirit transfers, and we find the teacher, and then the journey begins, inshallah. If you get time, inshallah, today I might give some feedback at the end, inshallah, if possible. So inshallah, I'll begin some verses that we do, inshallah, at the beginning, and we'll begin, inshallah. So first to rectify our intention that Allah is with us, Allah is seeing us, Allah is hearing us, and we sat here only purely for His pleasure and for His closeness we seek, and the closeness of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and all the Mashayikh Sahabi and Mashayikh, especially our teacher as well. And then inshallah we should offer the protection adhkars, Surah Fatiha, Ayatul Kursi, and then the entry calls Qul Huwallahu Ahad, Qul A'udhu Birabbil Falaq, and Qul A'udhu Birabbin Nas. There's 3 muraqabas of humbleness, shukr, thankfulness, and the reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you can perform the start of adhkars. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. 3 times Astaghfirullah, 3 times Durood Sharif, and 3 times La Hawla Wala Quwwata Illa Billah. So now inshallah turn our attention to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah is with us, Allah is seeing us, Allah is hearing us, Allah's name is shining above. And then inshallah, first of all, I'm mentioning verbally now to begin with the white preparation latifa. As we breathe in, light is entering through our head, through all the latifa right to the end. And as we breathe out with our mouth, then we exhaling out any dirt-filled worries, everything through our mouth, and is leaving us back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So do lataif for every 2-3 minutes, 2 minutes I think, and then the red one, orange, yellow, and so on. Transfer, and then inshallah the journey then begins inshallah. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Inshallah, slowly, if you like to return, reciting durood and salam and seeking permission, and slowly return back. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. So inshallah, goes about 10 minutes or so. Just anyone want to say anything or share experience or anything, inshallah, from the right, then go from the left, inshallah. Or at least if it's long, you think, then just the main guidance or nasihat or advice you can share or lesson, inshallah. And also any other questions or any difficulties or anything, please do share as well. Just if you'd like to put your hand up and then.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
They'd like to mention what happened then and one question as well.
Okay, inshallah, we'll try.
So after the point of your transfer, I met Hasab at the airport, and from there there was 3 children that accompanied all the brothers and the stars as well. And then from there we went to the Mazar of Sayyidina Abdul Aziz the Bag. They conveyed our salams, and then they took permission from them to take us further, and then went to the Mazar of Sayyidina Abul Hasan al-Shazli rahmatullah alayh, and again you conveyed salams. That's for permission to go further. I done the same at the Mazar of Sayyidina Abdul Qadir al-Jilani, alhamdulillah, the same at Imam Hussein radiyallahu anhu. Then we was at the Jali Mubarak, and at this point now there was more and more people. We was in a line of 2s, and the line was getting increasingly bigger and bigger, and even people who sort of wasn't doing the Muraqba from various different parts of the world, there was also joining in. And then we were at the Jali Mubarak, prayed through the Salam, and then and then it was as though that there was open, and the Prophet they walked out, and they said that I shall be accompanying you to as in the group. And from there they took us to Jannat al-Baqi, and there was so much lights that was hitting the blessed their graves. However, there was one beam of light that was particularly sort of overwhelming and bright, and it was distinctive. And then the Prophet ﷺ mentioned that that's the blessed resting place of Imam Hussein, Imam Hassan radiyallahu anhu. And as we was walking over, it was as though they was sat on the blessed resting place, waiting for us. Then from there, they mentioned some nasiha. They said that first of all, you should know your rights and the rights of others, because how can you sacrifice the rights if you don't know? And second of all is that you should constantly be in the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, "Oh Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how can I get closer to you in this given moment?" And inshallah, when you practice this, then you will hear your replies. And then at that moment, it was as though that the anwarats of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was shining on the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and it was as though the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam took the whole group to the first heaven where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's name was. And then at that point I was saying who in my heart, and a name, little your voice, you mentioned that when you're with the mashayikh, then you shouldn't be doing any zikr. Even though your heart takes you to somewhere, you bring it back into a state of nothingness. And then it was as though the Hassab sort of looked at me and gave me the shara to ask for ijazat. So we done that, and we went back in the same stages that we came, and asked for ijazat. And then as soon as we got back here in Hyde Zawiya, then it was as though I could see sort of Ustad Ghazi taking me to Hassab. And Hassab mentioned that that it's like the older brother that takes a younger brother to his father. When the father is young and he teaches his sons and gives tarbiyat, then as the father gets older, the older brothers then will teach the younger brothers. But it's a great shame that that even though in the physical world that they are your teachers, they're teaching you how to get closer to the Father. So what a great shame it is that the older brother or the younger brother then just they mentioned that what a great shame it is that the younger brother may think that the older brother is then their father. Nor do they know, nor does the older brother know what they're giving, or the younger brother know what they're taking. So they mentioned that it was the older brother that brings you closer to the father. And the question is that in the visions, it's as though it goes sort of really fast, and as I'm coming back down, then more and more detail sort of gets added in that regard. So I just want to know, is that normal or?
Okay, so that's your question, that different speed, you get different guidances there and back.
So the initial journey will happen fast, and as soon as I'm coming back down, then I can see like more and more detail that gets added on the journey.
Okay. So regarding this, what you asked is it's not really strange matter, because first of all, when the soul and the spirit is actually used to and is transferred and got the flight, it gets more and more used to it. So maybe throughout 24 hours or throughout the week, the soul is not having that access to the spiritual world and to experience. But this time, when you have an access and you're getting guidance, then the soul gets more used to it. And also what happens is the knowledge can be transferred in many ways. One of the ways is that whilst you're coming back or returning, your mind may be thinking about what they've experienced, and the ruh can bring back more of information and knowledge and the guidances as though while you're there and you're transferring there and back. The spiritual knowledge is also being transferred. So when you look at it again, it's as though the spirit is going back and is refreshing. It's like a revision. Is looking at things in more detail, and so the more guidances come, from the mashayikh and so on. So it's about sharpening one's own spiritual experience and journey. More you sharpen, you see greater, fares, and the blessing comes in many ways. And the spirit itself gets stronger as well. To retain, one thing to retain the knowledge and the guidance, and also how to actually, first of all, receive it in the first place. So that gets better and better because you're more into this realm and you're experiencing it more as well in that realm, what's going on. So the ruh also gets used to it. So that's why in the spiritual journey, someone who spends more and more time, only the person gets more stronger and stronger. And the greatest spiritual experience one could have is the advice, like you yourselves have said, about it having the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like our teacher says that the iman is at the apex, at the highest point. When you're on the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, there you can feel Allah's with you, Allah seeing you, Allah hearing you, or at least you feel as though Allah can see you and so on, if you cannot have the kind of witness and experience. And then in that way, the spirit also gets attached to that experience as well. So not only your mind, your heart, your body, as well as your spirit is engaged. And so more and more one practices that, then the other aspects, the guidances and the nasihat mashayikh gave, that becomes more easier and stronger as well. So it's a natural progression that takes place. And really what you said about the ustaz who's teaching us, that is true. Ustaz, especially our senior to us, we've been learning for years and years from the teacher directly. We should really avail the opportunity and to speak to them, spend time with them as well. Because physically, many times our teachers are not here. They're going around the world doing dawah. But then, those ustaz who've been, learning and from the teacher themselves, then we should avail the opportunity from them. That, how can I benefit, like you were saying, for the moment. The one thing is to spend time with them as well, learn, and especially seek one-to-one advice and guidance from them as well. So like one lesson you learned about, the zikr you didn't who, and then you learned that you shouldn't really perform any adhkars or zikr in front of them. That's also considered, not against the manners and etiquettes to do so. And this thing can learn from obviously the ustad as well. They can teach and they'll teach these things because themselves have gone through these things and learned at first hand. So we should really, because not everyone necessarily has the ustad just because you know them as a friend. So in a way, what you're saying about that, not be confused who's the elder brother, younger brother. You should know and identify who the ustads are. And like you have mentioned the name, Ustad Kais and others. And then from them, then if you do learn, then you learn things correctly and will benefit you. If you just have friendship with others and maybe in tariq and otherwise outside as well, many times people consult the internet or this person or that person or this masala, that masala, and they get different answers. In WhatsApp group, people give different answers as well. So what do you take? Which is correct, which is not? We don't know. Everything seems good to us. So that's why you should always defer to those ustads and those brothers who actually have the authority and under the guidance and supervision of the teacher. You should have your reference point and rely on them. Not any other person makes comments on any website or anything and think this is deen, I'm going to follow this, or this is a good idea. Not a really good idea anymore until you hear it from your reference point. And that way it saves you from many harms and difficulties as well. As you see on the WhatsApp group or other places, some people asking questions, some people answering, the masala and things which you only befitting mufti would give. And he even asks about talaq and other things. And really, we should go to the reference point and ask about tariq, about path to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, about any guidance or any consultation. And that way you can then benefit from, inshallah. Inshallah. Anything else you want to mention? Maybe one quick question before you finish. Nearly 7 o'clock now. People need to go to work and things as well. From anyone, brothers from the right or from the left? Jazakallah. May Allah reward you and take you safely back to your homes, inshallah. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. you. Thank you. Thank you.